Hello, welcome to Force of Will UK. Today I am here with Brian Fergurson, who got first in Swiss at the first ARG Force of Will event. Now that's quite a big deal considering it's like the first main proper Force of Will event which everyone's been allowed to have a look at. Anyway, so you played Grimm for the event. You finished first in
Yep, sure.
Swiss. You went 6 wins, 1 draw. So you didn't even lose a match.
Yeah,
Undefeated, I guess then.
Swins.
So I've got your list up on my screen. We're just gonna talk through your list, and it'd be good if if you can help me out and some explanations and that kind of thing. Because
Sure.
it's quite unique. Because not many players thought about bringing a green control kind of Grimm list, did they? They went for the aggro routes with burn cards or a bit of tempo with Dream of Wonderland. So I'm just gonna read through your list first. So for Fairytales, we have one Grimm the Avenger, so that's just as a tech card for dark matchups and to get rid of Mephistopheles. We next have 2 Rapunzel. Now this card is primarily for the OTK, and you decide to run 2 of them just because you don't want to have to discard one early game, that kind of thing. Did it ever come up that you needed to have 2?
That I need more than 2?
No, if you needed more than 1.
Yeah, because sometimes you're put in a position where you either have to discard it because your hand is really bad and you need to search to get it off, or one. So a lot of the times I would drop a Rapunzel, just to force an outer world on it, and then drop another Rapunzel next turn. That's how I play to run outer world and stuff like Xeex, things like that.
The next card on the list is 2 Aesop the Prince's Tutor. Now this is like a blanket for your fairy tales. It protects them from anything while it's on the field. No other Grimm list was running this card. Do you think they should, or do you think it's just mainly for control to protect Rapunzel for the OTK and protect your
I think it's for control. Yeah, I think it's for control Grimm. It's a card that if you're playing the OTK with Rapunzel, you definitely need to be playing it because Outer World is really hard. Also, I noticed that I run Witches Dagger, so I also noticed that if my opponent has their Feethsings up, that they would make my Witches Dagger fall off.
Mm-hmm.
So the Tutor also prevents that from happening, so you can resolve your Witches Daggers and start to draw. Also, normally Abdul Stone with Outer World will kill Piper. So if you just have it, you're just protected from everything. Also, if you have double, Abdul has to double negate, and he can't stop Rapunzel if he has to stop both Tutors. So that's why I put it in there, because I was expecting a lot of Abdul.
Mm-hmm. We have King's Servant next. Now this is to add back. It's effective. Many people don't know. It's when you summon it, it's got an enter effect which says add an addition resonator from your graveyard to your hand. So the only addition resonators you run in the deck are 2 Witch Daggers and 1 Crucifix. So I'm assuming this is just a way to recycle Witch's Daggers to get more draws, primarily.
Yeah.
And since it's Fairytale, it's searchable, so that's really good as well.
Exactly.
For the rest of the fairy tales, we have 3 Pied Piper, pretty standard, 4 Cheshire Cats, 4 Gretels, 3 Glinda, and 1 Athos. Now, you didn't want to max out on Pipers, but you didn't play a Netna either, so is there a reason why you only chose 3? Is it mainly for space issues or that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's mainly space issues. I mean, I'm already at 41 cards in the deck, and my logic has always been I'd rather have room for more counter spells to protect my my Piper, like Aesop's Prince Tutor as well, to protect them rather than run more copies of them. Because if my opponent already has Outer World and Grubalessa, 4th Piper doesn't really do anything. It's still gonna die. So I'd rather have cards that just protect it and keep it alive rather than just run multiple copies, or more than 3.
So it feels like you went into the tournament mainly aiming to beat Abdul and the aggressive Grimm decks, but I was trying out your list previously today with a friend of mine who was also running a similar deck. We found a lot of times players would go Hamlin, and the next turn someone would go Hamlin their Hamlin, and then Hamlin their Hamlin, stop their Hamlin, that kind of thing. So whoever had the most Hamlins and the more access to more Hamlins would win, it seems, but which was quite interesting to notice. So clearly side deck would definitely come into that, where you have return to stories. So moving through the other fairy tales, so staple 4 Cheshire Cats, of course. No, it's just for thinning the deck, and it's great blocker. Athos is one of as a tech to search your additions, so your Crucifix and your Witch Daggers, mainly because it's searchable as well. The Glindas. Now, this is like I think it's really good in control, but some people are playing it in aggressive as well, like because it's got two big effects. It's got your target resonator can't get blocks, which pushes through your OTK with Rapunzel or gets that damage in with Hamlin, and it also has the ability which like says to your opponents you have to pay 2 more for a spell card that it wants to resolve. So, do you think it was really good for you working out at 3, or would you like to play more or play less of it?
Yeah, it was fantastic, and it was definitely fantastic at 3. I didn't really use it for the unblockable part as much as the counter part. You drop it early, and it just makes it so late game, it actually becomes a lot useful if you drop it early to mid game. Also, it being 5/5 is extremely relevant against the aggro Grimm because it can trade with Hunter. And so I really wanted like low cheap cost blockers. That's why I like Aesop's Tutor as well, and the Grimm, the Avenger. They're 5/5, so sometimes they force out a Thunder, and so it's just like it's really good to do the blocking. But yeah, late game when you have only a couple will open and a couple counters, that Glinda can come in like really helpful.
Because like if you're facing against aggro Grimm, and let's say they have like a 5 mana open, and you don't have a cake zone, and you really want to negate that like split heaven and earth, and they play something early in the turn, and it just helps to like solidify your position so they can't like respond with all their spells. And then for Gretels, now some people prefer to play like 2, maybe 3 because it's searchable. So like you can like turn 1 search for Gretel, so you always have it turn 2. Do you feel like you have to run 4? Or?
I think in this format, yes, because the only way that you really consistently can beat Abdul is if you can make sure that you have enough will to counter all their counters. So I did try like less Gretel. It's just too important. And my theory has always been with Grimm that if you draw a bad Fairytale at a bad time, it always becomes whatever Fairytale you want. So there really is no downside to running a lot of Fairytale. And also like there comes times where sometimes you don't have another Fairytale just to search for a Gretel. So sometimes just drawing the Gretel is just really good by itself.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's same for Elvish Priest, which you're playing for as well. It's like the best turn 1. And so you always wanted to get that first search off, and then you could even do double Gretel the next turn, or Gretel with Cat and a dagger, or that kind of thing. So it really sets you up for winning the game. And then finally we have, of course, 4 Fairytale, which is just staple, 4 Cake Zone, and 4 Xeex. Now you played for both to negate, to make sure you have the most negation as you can, since you're heavily trying to beat these aggressive decks by getting all that mana first, then stopping whatever they can do. So it looks pretty solid. If you were to try and drop it to 40 cards, is there anything you'd like take out or change?
I probably would take out Athos. I never use them all day. I increased the Witches Dagger. I played 2 Witches Dagger before. A lot of people only play 1 because I really want to draw it. And because, I mean, using the Athos play, you actually have to use 4 will to do it. So, yeah, I probably would cut Athos. He was there because, like, once you have a child drop a Piper yet, or you have multiple Fairytales and they have no resonator, sometimes good just to get a Crucifix and make them play around it. So they always have to leave Will up so they can't do their full turn. But yeah, that's probably like the only card I would drop.
If you did drop Athos, would you take out the Crucifix as well?
No, yeah. Even though like you can't search the Crucifix, that Crucifix just saved me so many times.
Nice. Is there anything else you'd like to maybe try out, like an Etna, or like some people playing Blazers in their lists, that kind of thing?
I tried Blazer at a point, but the problem is even if I max out to 4 redstones, it's still pretty hard to like consistently hit it. And I kept drawing like Blazer at the run. She's not a Fairytale. Etna is something I do want to try. Probably sideboarded still, because I think like Piper is just really good because he doesn't die to Outer World, and that's my only concern with Etna is I really wanted to try to make my deck as Outer World proof as I could because I knew that would be a popular card.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just going to move on to your side deck and stone deck first, really, I guess. So for your stones, you're running 2 green reds, 4 of the green whites, and 4 of the green blues. Now, and also you're playing Feethsing to make it 11 stones. Now, everyone else plays 10 stones. Is there a reason why you wanted to play like that extra one?
It's mainly just because I've side a lot of red cards, so I needed to fit 2 green red and have 1 green red in the side. And I was playing with 3 green blue, but I found that like I kept drawing dagger and not having the blue up. So I just figured, I need to max out on consistency of that. Also, with 11 stones, chances of you hitting the Feethsing with Gretel is a little bit lower.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like it's been working. Like I know it's a danger in a field full of splits, but my deck, like if you're gonna die to split, you're gonna die to split. There's really not much you can do to play around it outside of having counters. So my thought was just like, you know what, I have all the colors that I need, and I hopefully will hit Feethsing less.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the side deck. So, as I noticed when I play Grimm myself, there's loads like weird like one-offs which you can always side, like different fairy tales, like different spells, that kind of thing. So I'm just gonna briefly run through your side. So you side into one Oz. I'm assuming you side in with the Oz, the Crime and Punishment, and the 2 Drill Truths, and also the 3rd Red Greenstone. So this is, I'm assuming, like more to kill Abdul, really, since all those cards do, and Oz just searches them as well.
Absolutely.
What would you normally side out? Do you know? Or
So against Abdul, I normally will side out the daggers, the Princess Tutor, or not the Princess Tutor, the King Servant, and I would side out and sometimes I would side out 1 Piper because I'm bringing in the Kais. So I normally would be my kind of sideboard for Abdul. And sometimes I would side out like some Glindas because they can just negate Glinda. So I normally side out those.
Mm-hmm. So you got one of the Little Prince. Now that's for like burn decks, I suppose. But did you ever actually like use it for its gain life effects?
Yeah, I played against Aggro Grimm, the red blue one, and I was at 700 and I drew it and I was like, oh my gosh, this was perfect timing. Also the fact that like I always forget about his other effect that he becomes stronger for every other. Yeah, and so he just became a great blocker as well, and it's like it just brought me back into the game. And then the next turn I was able to drop it was great.
Awesome. And then of course you got the Return Stories, which is for the mirror match. And then finally you tacked in 1 Longing as the Holy Lance. Is this again just for like dark decks, which like would like maybe if you saw Dracula, that kind of thing?
Right. It was kind of iffy. I didn't like it because, I mean, my sideboard strategy, I normally side out Athos anyways, and so it really wasn't like synergizing in that way. And when I had it, I only sided in once. I drew it and I got cake zoned, and I was like, I mean, it was good that it hit a cake zone, but it still was just kind of like underwhelming. I don't think I would side it again.
Mm-hmm. The Dream of Juliet's, is that just like maybe in the match to like reset your Pipers, that kind of thing, or?
Yeah, it's nice because it's dodgeable. Like you can dodge things, and also like you can hit like Necronomicon. Also, I was kind of thinking that a lot of people were going to be citing Realm of the Dragon King as a way to kind of like, kill my stuff early. So I just wanted to have just that option just in case. But I never sideboarded them, so.
And it's got multiple effects, so all the options is really good anyway.
Yeah.
And then of course the Kai's for the Abdul matchup, since it's a really cheap, really high attack value minion. Resonator.
Yeah, it's really good.
So that's it for the deck. So congratulations on like coming first, that kind of thing. Is it alright if we just go for like your matchups and what you face, that kind of thing? Just really briefly, like if people are interested. So it was 7 rounds, and then it got to the top 8. So round 1 you played against
Grimm.
Did you win?
Yeah, Grimm control, not aggro.
Yeah. So it's like, was this the one on the live stream?
Yeah, that was the one on the live stream. Yeah. Yeah. It was not that hard. I don't think he was playing Rapunzel, and because like when I dropped Rapunzel, he had to read it, and I was like, oh, okay,
easy win.
Yeah.
Running the same deck, but he has to read the cards.
Yeah.
Round 2.
Round 2, I played against Abdul.
How was your Abdul matchups?
I won game 1, lost game 2, but Kai won me game 3.
Awesome. Like, you told me before how you were winning a lot of your Abdul matchups, but when I've been testing the deck and it's hard to beat Abdul.
Yeah.
Is there anything like you aim for? Is like because like the way I'm trying to do it is just always have a way to kill Abdul.
Yeah, that's the thing is the main goal when I play Abdul is to kill them before they can do anything. So normally, like a turn two fairy tale is really good against their deck, especially because their turn one play normally consists of dropping Elvish Priest, and if you can bring out a Piper the next turn, you set them back, and then you can just build up your board state from there and kill them before Abdul's a threat. If they're going first, Abdul most likely will come out, and that's where Kai and Duels of Truth are just fantastic. And it makes it so before, when you would have to trade a Piper with Abdul, you're using 2 cards just to get rid of their one. Now you're only using Duel of Truth. So it's a good trade, 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that was round 2. Round 3.
Round 3, I played Abdul, and that was where I got my draw.
Yeah,
it was really unfortunate. Game 1.
The draw.
Oh yeah. I didn't like game 1. I drew opening hand, and I know that I need to like I need priest as like fast as possible. So I mulliganed 5, and I drew 2 pipers off my mulligan and no 1-drops.
Ouch.
So I was like, man, I knew I was gonna lose that game. Going to game 2, I did the same thing I just told you. I did a turn 2 Fairytale, and he just could not outpace. And then I was able to drop 2 princes, Aesop princess tutors, followed by a Rapunzel. I knew that my Rapunzel was gonna stay alive. And then game 3, that game was actually really good. He was beating me down with Feethsings for like forever. He had 4 Feethsings on board, and I was just taking damage. He deactivated Abdul. Then he played Necro, and I Xeexed his graveyard for the Necro.
Sweet.
And then next turn I just summoned Kai, killed the Abdul, and he had the familiar spirit to kill my Kai. And so then I knew I was still in a tough position. So I play Elvish Priest. I equip it with Crucifix. He can still kill it, but he thinks I'm kind of bluffing because he doesn't want to kill an Elvish Priest that's equipped with a Crucifix. So from there, now that the Crucifix has resolved, I just equip it with Dagger, draw 3, and then I'm back in it. And so
Nice.
I could have won that game if it wasn't for time, but to at least get a draw against Abdul is really good.
So round 4.
Round 4 was a Bahamut burn.
Oh yeah,
and
this is James Venable.
It was Agro Grimm,
Oh.
and I two-wood it. Yeah.
Solid. So do you think that's like one of the easier matchups?
Yeah, it is one of these matchups because the Fairytale, and because against the red version, their only way to like stop Piper is with Etna and like maybe Little Dread, but you have so much counters to stop that. Like you just stock up on Xeex, and they're really hoping like on Split and things to get them there, and so you just have a lot of counters they can't really like do it. It's just one of my favorite matchups to play.
Round 5 is the Bahamut burn.
Yeah, round 5 was the Bahamut burn, and I 2-0'd it. I got it came in a position where if he would have had a split, I would have lost game 2, but because I had to go all out to play Rapunzel because he was playing Gilderoz and he had Bahamut deactivated, so I was gonna take damage off of flying. So I had to drop the Rapunzel just to give my Gretel's flying to block. So I was like, if he had a Thunder or something, a way to kill the Gretel, I was like pretty much dead. But luckily he didn't have it, so I took that match.
Yeah, I was talking to James Venable yesterday about that, and he was saying how you were like the only Grimm player who instantly went for Rapunzel, which he played against. So just like to quickly rush him down before he could burn you. So I think that was quite good. So by this point, you're 4 wins, 1 draw, and on to round 6.
Round 6, I had to play Grimm aggro, and game 1 was kind of sad because it was my best matchup, but I had no Xeex. I drew no Xeexes. I even resolved Witches Dagger and like 3 Cheshire Cats. Drew no Xeex, and I got hit by a Little Dread, then another Little Dread, then a Blazer, and then a Glinda. So I was like, I had no Xeex at the end of that time. So I was like, man. But yeah, game 2 and 3, I have Return to Storage. He doesn't because he's playing red, and so and then that Little Prince came in clutch at the right time too. So I ended up winning that match.
Nice one. So that means you're like locked in for the top 8, but you still wanted to come first in the Swiss. So you had like 1 more round.
Yeah. So the last round I had to play against the undefeated Abdul player, and I was like a little nervous because it's my worst matchup, and obviously he's good if he's undefeated at this point. Game one, I beat him. I drew like a hand of a lot of counters, which was really helpful. I was able to resolve a Witch's Dagger early, and he had 3 outer worlds, but the counters like was able to kind of get me there late game. Was able to stop whatever he did. In game two, he made an iffy decision to side into Scheherazade rather than keep Abdul,
Yeah, I
which
wouldn't have
for
done
some
that.
reason I kind of expected him. Yeah, I expected him to side into Scheherazade, so I only sided one Kai instead of normally I side two for Abdul. And he kept a hand that required double green, like he had like a couple Glindas in hand and things like that. But turn two, he had Abdul Stone, so his whole double green plays were off. So all the Xeexes in his hand were dead. So I was able to just play through it, and then I ended up beating him by like turn 3 or 4. So I got that match 2-0.
Awesome. So first in Swiss now. A lot of people weren't too happy about how that some players weren't playing out the top eight. But of course, like I hear it's down to like time issues, or if some players were needs to be somewhere, that kind of thing, flights. Would you have wanted to play top eight? And if you did, do you think you would have won?
I'm sorry, kind of breaking up a little bit.
All right. If you guys played out the top eight, how well do you think you would have done?
I think I would have done pretty good. I mean, 3 of the people that I already beat in Swiss were in top 8. So I knew the matchups. Also, since I'm the highest seed, I was playing an X2 round 1, or the first round in Swiss. And he was playing Scheherazade, so it wasn't really like I was really prepared for Scheherazade and Abdul. So I really think I had a good shot at winning it. But just the time, it was just so late. People had driven like really far. No one had eaten. I hadn't eaten since the morning. So as much as I would have wanted to play it out, there was a lot of other people to consider, not just myself. So I think that's why I ultimately it came to the decision to go ahead and end it with just the top 8.
Ah,
And other thing is I got first place in Swiss, so I kind of felt that I proved myself at the event. So I might have wanted more to play it out if I didn't get first place in
yeah,
Swiss.
that's no problem. Anyway, congrats on the good result. Is there any more events you're hoping to travel to in the future, or hoping to get a world's qualification for sure, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm hoping to come to the UK. So
Yay!
yeah, I'm trying to make it work. We looked up the tickets; they're a little bit pricey.
Oh
So,
yeah,
but hopefully
transatlantic.
some of the winnings from this weekend will help that cost.
hmm and then there's the regional starting up in America in July. So we've got one in New York, I think. I don't know, Illinois as well. I'm not too sure on all the locations.
Yeah, it's California, Illinois, Hawaii, and Texas and Rhode Island. So I will be at California because I live in California. So that's the first one. So that's
hmm
July 4th, and then I might go to Hawaii as well. Um, I'm gonna go. I want to be part of the first Americans to play at the Worlds in Japan.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
But anyway,
I don't want to get David.
yeah. Anyway, thanks for doing this Skype interview kind of thing with me. I hope now people recognize you and be like, oh, there's Brian Fergurson. I hope I don't get compared against him round one, that kind of thing.